In the headlines, forced evictions spark outcry in Kaduna communities. Kebbi rice farmers devastated as River Niger floods farmlands. 22 shops burnt to ashes in Kwara cattle market fire. On the foreign scene, 10 more bodies recovered in Benin Republic river crash. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update on Trust TV. My name is Idris Baturi. The Nigerian Bar Association NBA Kaduna branch on Tuesday led residents of 6 communities in Igabi local government area in a peaceful protest against alleged illegal demolitions, human rights violations and disobedience of subsisting court orders by the commander of the Infantry Corps Center ICC Jaji, Major General Usman Abdulmumin Yusuf. The peaceful protest took place at the Secretariat of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Kaduna, where affected residents gathered to express their grievances over the demolition of their homes by the military. The reports.
The affected communities include Malam Auta, Ungwen Yohana, Ungwen Aboki, Sabon Ungwen Lawyer, Ungwen Railway, and Ungwen Al-Hassan in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State. With frustration on their faces and placards in their hands, the residents march alongside NBA members, chanting solidarity songs. NBA Kaduna chairman Baba Lawal Aliyu told reporters that the association was disturbed by the demolitions of ancestral homes and farmlands, arbitrary arrest without warrant, and forced evictions in Igabi despite binding court injunctions.
With threats already issued to residents. These actions are not only inhuman and unconstitutional, but also amount to a brazen assault on the judiciary and the rule of law. The High Court of Kaduna State had, in multiple rulings, 2018, 2019, and 2021, ordered all parties to maintain the status quo ante bellum. The commander's deliberate disobedience of these injunctions constitute contempt of court and dangerous affront of constitutional democracy.
He lamented that on August 15, Ungwanaboki was demolished under heavy military guard in the dead of night, leaving hundreds of families, including women, children, the elderly, and the persons with disabilities homeless. He added that Hayim Malam Auta had also been marked for imminent demolition despite existing court orders prohibiting such actions.
The Nigerian Bar Association stands firm. No authority, no matter how powerful, is above the law. To remain silent in the face of such tyranny is to betray justice itself. We call on the federal and the Kaduna State governments, civil society, and the international community to take immediate steps to stop these violations. Fair justice, let justice be done through the heavens fall. And we call on the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to call the military to order.
Meanwhile, prior to the protest, the commandant of the Infantry Corps Center Jaji, Major General Usman Abdulmumin Yusuf, while fielding questions from journalists, defended the army's actions and explained the justification for the demolitions.
Presentation in especially social media, not mainstream media that we know, has been that the army is making demolitions in Igabi local government. But they might be right because Jaji military cantonment is in Igabi local government. But what they fail to say, which is the truth, is that these illegal communities are in the middle of Jaji military cantonment. And that we're doing illegal demolition, I think, is just gross mischief.
He also responded to the allegations of disobeying court orders, insisting that the army acted within the limits of its authority.
The issue with the communities have been on for some time, and when the army was tired of all the crimes that is being committed in this community, the army moved to move them out, and they went to court. The court gave the stay action order on both parties. While the army respected that, these communities continued to build and expand their footprint on army land.
President, however, appealed to Kaduna State Governor Senator Obasani to urgently intervene and come to their aid. Bello Musa, Trust TV News Kaduna.
Now, hundreds of rice farmers in Yauri, Ngaski, and Shanga local government areas of Kebbi State have lost farmlands worth millions of naira following devastating floods caused by the overflow of the River Niger and heavy rainfall. The floods submerged vast hectares of rice fields, wiping out investment made by farmers who had anticipated a bumper harvest this season. Many farmers are now facing uncertainty, with fears that recovery will be difficult without urgent intervention. Yauri, Ngaski, and Shanga are among the leading rice-producing areas in Kebbi State, contributing significantly to Nigeria's rice production under the State Lake Rice Initiative. With large portions of farmlands now underwater, the livelihoods of hundreds of farming families and the state food supply chain are under serious threat. Community leaders have called on the State Emergency Management Agency and other relevant authorities to provide relief materials and put in place a recovery plan to avert hunger and economic hardship in the coming months. Now, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, says 3 bodies have been recovered from the boat accident that occurred in Sokoto State on Sunday. The boat, which was carrying over 50 passengers, including farmers and traders, capsized along the waterways. 25 people were rescued alive on the same day of the incident. Search and rescue operations continued for 3 days, but no additional survivors were found. NEMA has now concluded that operation, noting that chances of locating more survivors had significantly reduced after 24 hours. The accident adds to rising toll of boat mishaps across Nigeria's waterways, often linked to overloading and poor maintenance of vessels. Now, at least 22 shops were destroyed in the early hours of Wednesday after a fire broke out at a market in Ajashe-Ipo, Iporodun local government area of Kwara State. The fire, which started around 1:35 a.m., was traced to a cooking fire that had not been properly extinguished. It later ignited and spread to nearby shops. Although the full value of goods lost could not be determined, traders reportedly suffered losses running into millions of naira. Out of 323 shops in the market, 22 plank shops and 6 container shops were razed. Most of the affected shops sold food items such as rice, yam flour, corn, millet, and guinea corn, while the containers stocked provisions and other daily needs. Operatives of the Kwara State Fire Service battled the flames and were able to prevent the fire from spreading to the section where animals were kept. Now, Special Advisor to the President on Media and Public Communications and former Minister of Youth and Sports, Sunday Dari, believes that the current setback in the Oyo All Progressives Congress is temporary, as the party will still overcome its current challenges. The former minister made this known when he hosted key stakeholders of the party in Ibadan to review the outcome of the Ibadan North by-election. He said the Ibadan North by-election result is a wake-up call, as efforts are ongoing to reposition the party and bring everyone on board ahead of 2027.
And let me say, well, Oyo State is an important state in the Southwest, and APC has a stake and a future in Oyo politics. Whatever happened yesterday, where APC lost the by-election, should not be seen as the end of APC. For me, I see it as a temporary setback, and with enough time for us to recover. But that recovery has a formula, a political formula. And unless stakeholders address themselves to the formula that is needed for us to recover, that's where the problem will be. The fact that our party lost yesterday, for us, gives us an opportunity to get back to the drawing board, to bring all stakeholders to the table, to tell ourselves the truth, and then to move forward.
Now, the removal of fuel subsidy has continued to negatively affect the cost of transportation and way-billing of goods and services in Benue State. Transport officials in Makurdi shared their concerns as our correspondent takes a closer look at the rising cost of transportation and the challenges of way-billing. The report.
On May 29, 2023, President Bola Tinubu assumed office with a declaration that fuel subsidy was gone. Since then, the nation's economic indices have shifted significantly, and more than 2 years later, the transport sector is still grappling with its impact. In Makurdi, officials of transport companies are reporting low passenger turnout at motor parks, with fuel prices now at 970 naira per litre compared to 200 naira per litre about 3 years ago. They are calling on both state and federal governments to introduce measures that will relieve the burden on citizens.
It's very, very difficult to cope with the cost of fueling in comparison to the transport fare. You know, the interest is not there again. The cost of fuel and the cost of spare parts, those things are really dealing with us. So we will do the work, but you will not see any interest. But we are just managing.
For transport workers like Igabi, the cost of goods and motor spare parts has also become a major concern.
What thing people that are giving way be now, they are bringing a criminality into it. Somebody will give you a leather bag that will say that it is clothes. When they got missed, they will say there's human hair. Or we used to pay something here, like one lady give away be here. Told us that it's good. Reaching Lagos, one lady picked it and we run away with it. At last, the lady tend to say that it is a human hair. This we won. I had to pay her 300,000.
In a bid to cut costs, many would-be passengers now choose to send goods through commercial drivers instead of traveling themselves. But this has also raised fresh concerns. Passengers complain of high way-bill charges and overloading of vehicles despite the already high fares.
They are loading the backseat with things and they will still carry us passengers, not minding the risk we are taking on this bad road. And then they will still carry passengers like that. After paying 3,500 per person, per passenger, they are still paying, carrying all these things, loading it, and then the road is terrible.
A loader at a commercial motor park in Makurdi, Teso Yoso, explained that drivers often face huge risks, including payment for missing goods, which forces them to increase charges to cover potential losses.
If at all we want to charge way-bill the way people always compose us to pay way-bill, we'll be charging way-bill higher, more than passenger head. But sometimes when you just understand with somebody, at the end of the day you become an enemy later. That is the reason why even way-bill issue too is more higher now. Because even though if you pay half of that money, it will pay you more.
As frustrations mount, residents are urging government to intervene by reducing the pump price of fuel in order to ease the burden on transporters, traders, and passengers alike.
Operatives of the Akwa Ibom State Police Command have rescued 20 Ghanaians comprising 10 females and 10 males who were trafficked to the Uyo local government area of the state. The victims were rescued from a compound in Obio Itoi village, Uyo, following a request for assistance from the Ghana Police Service and Interpol. The operations was carried out on Monday, August 18, 2025, after police operatives acting on credible intelligence surrounded the building. After the rescue, the victims appeared disoriented and unable to speak, raising suspicions that they may have been hypnotized. The police said investigations are ongoing and further details will be made public as they emerge. The International Organization for Migration has commended Nigeria's Operation Safe Corridor, describing it as a model for the rehabilitation and reintegration of repentant terrorists and other ex-combatants. IOM's Deputy Director General for Operations, Ogechi Daniels, gave the commendation during a courtesy visit to the Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa at the Defense Headquarters in Abuja. The visit was disclosed in a statement by the Director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Tukur Gusau, on Tuesday. Daniels noted that although Operation Safe Corridor was initially designed for the Northeast, it has since been expanded to the Northwest and North Central regions. She said IOM was prepared to deploy experts in disarmament, demobilization, reintegration, and reconciliation to new areas such as Zamfara, where insecurity remains a major challenge. In his response, the CDS General Musa acknowledged IOM's long-standing partnership with the Nigerian Armed Forces, particularly in the Northeast, and pledged continued cooperation despite funding limitations. Now, the Commissioner of Police in the Federal Capital Territory, Ajawa Adewale, has warned that illegal mining has grown into a cartel-driven enterprise that bankrolls banditry and drains Nigeria of an estimated 9 billion annually. Speaking at a media party organized by the Nigerian Union of Journalists, NUJ, in Abuja, Adewale described illegal mining as one of the country's most dangerous security threats, citing Nigeria's Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative (NEITI) data. He said powerful Nigerians drive an operation using foreigners as fronts, while proceeds are channeled into funding terrorism and banditry. Adewale identified Zamfara, Nasarawa, Kogi, Kaduna, Niger, Kwara, Osun, and parts of the FCT were arrested in Abuja alone between 2023 and 2024. Commander of the mining marshals at Noja urged journalists to avoid biased reporting, alleging that cartels sponsor rogue journalism to discredit enforcement and national press right of the Miners. Association of Nigeria, Delia Adinyali, said on corruption, poverty, and weak governance, warning of child labor, mercury poisoning, and environmental devastating in the mining communities. NUJFCT Chairman Grace Ike called on the media to intensify investigative reporting to expose financiers and highlight the human and environmental cost of illegal mining. This is the news update on Trust TV. Coming up after the break. Female bus drivers in Lagos cry out over poor roads harassment. More news when we return. Do stay with us. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is the news update on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories again. First evictions spark outcry in Kaduna communities. And Kebbi rice farmers devastated as River Niger floods farmlands. Now, moving on to more stories, female commercial bus drivers in Lagos say they are grappling with several challenges, chief among them the deplorable condition of the roads. Many complain that the poor state of the roads damages their buses, forcing them to spend heavily on repairs while earning little, despite paying the same duties as the male counterpart. Victoria Tokolo spoke with some of the drivers, and her report is presented from our studio.
Becoming a female commercial bus driver in Lagos demands both skill and cooperation with male colleagues in order to succeed in the male-dominated transport sector. Those who operate Korokbe minibuses face a range of difficulties, including harassment, extortion, and most painfully, the poor condition of the roads, which frequently damages their vehicles. Despite the challenges, many admit there is still profit to be made in the business. Some of the drivers shared their experiences of daily struggles, earnings, and how they manage their working relationship with male counterparts.
There's no much challenges I'm facing, very good. Once you are mingle with all those agro and do very good, you are going to make family with them and to stop misunderstanding and misunderstanding. So you need to cooperate with them and pay their money. So that's what we need to do, so that we won't cause any trouble or any misunderstanding.
I don't really face challenges. For me, I don't face challenges with the male driver. The only thing I do is I do play with them. So for me to work peacefully, I don't know if you can get me. For me to work peacefully, I make friends with a lot of male driver due to my work, because I work with NURTW, National Union Road Transport Worker. So sometimes I drive, sometimes I do my normal job at the spot. And this is Ikeja to, this is Agege to Ikeja, then Ikeja down to Agege. That's the route. And there is stuff. I'm one of them. You can see my cap. I'm one of them. So we normally make friendship with each other, because although they work, we collect our money, our dues from them, which they cooperate with me. Being a female, they cooperate with me. I don't really have issue with them.
The drivers are calling on government to intervene by fixing major roads across the state and enacting policies that will protect women in the commercial transport business.
Now in business, President Bola Tinubu has permanently abolished the controversial 5% excise duty on telecommunications services, a move aimed at easing financial pressures on consumers and businesses in Nigeria's digital economy. The Executive Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Telecommunications Commission, NCC, Aminu Maida, announced the development during a media briefing in Abuja on Tuesday. The excise levy, which applied to mobile voice and data services, was initially suspended in 2023. It has now been officially removed under revised national tax laws. The duty had generated significant backlash from industry stakeholders and consumer advocacy groups, who argued it would raise the cost of digital access and threaten the viability of telecom operators already struggling with high operational costs. Now, away from Nigeria, rescuers in Benin Republic have recovered 10 additional bodies from the Ome River, bringing the death toll from a weekend bus accident to 37. 6 passengers remain missing after the bus plunged off a bridge into the river between Saturday night and Sunday morning. Search efforts are still ongoing, although hopes of finding survivors are fading. 9 people were rescued on Sunday and taken to hospital in stable condition. The bus, operated by STM Transport Company, had departed from Lome, the capital of neighboring Togo, with 52 passengers on board. The crash occurred on Interstate 2, the major highway linking Cotonou to Malanville on the Niger border. And now in sport, former super forward Brown Ideye had announced his retirement from professional football. The 36-year-old made the announcement on the social media. Ideye last played for 9-time Nigeria Premier Football League (NPFL) champions Eimba. After much thought and consideration with mixed emotions, I have decided to retire from professional football, Ideye wrote on his account. The forward came into limelight after representing Nigeria's Flying Eagles at the 2007 FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Canada. Ideye went on to make 28 appearances for the Super Eagles with 6 goals to his name. He played for clubs in England, Turkey, Greece, Spain, and France. And with that, we have come to the end of the news update on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and also watch us live on YouTube for more news programs and documentaries. My name is Idris Dayebature, thanking you for being with us. Good evening.